Alright guys, we are back at it again, trying to plow after our 200-acre failure. You can see that right now I'm on a tractor. I'm sorry it's quite loud, but you can see that we are trying to plow and prepare this field to plant maize again. So this was one of the paddocks that had been plowed last year. We had planned to plant over 200 acres of maize. You guys can see that currently it's being plowed. So right here we have some cattle. The cattle you can see in the background, there's a cow here. Quite a number of cattle right in the background, you know, our cows. They are here feeding on the grass because this paddock was not planted. We failed terribly. So we recently harvested the maize that we planted the last season, and guys, it's quite disappointing. It's even less than half of what we expected if we had just planted that section alone. The maize didn't grow well. A lot of the parts didn't germinate. It didn't put on a good number of combs on each of the maize plants. So it was just a disappointment. We're trying to process it right now because we need to use it to feed the chickens. But we learned our lessons very well the last time. So hopefully we shall not repeat them this time. Actually, I believe we haven't repeated them this time. The lessons that we learned are that number one, management is important. Number two, you need to plan and prepare early. Really, really early. Number three, get the right people to work for you. We had actually planned on using contract workers. We haven't used contract workers, but it's certainly been way better. So I'm currently not certain if we'll actually be able to plant this section of the farm because we are running out of time. If the rain stops, we'll probably carry on plowing, but we'll just be preparing it for the next season. Because last time we plowed it, but we left these, I don't know what to call them, you know. The land is not even, you know. The plowed areas, the soil was just turned over and it's just not flat enough. So we want to just try to go through with the plow and try to level it, and then we'll probably plant it the next season. So we've let the cattle graze the area, and they are grazing it really, really nicely. They love the grass, you know. Some nice grass grow up. It's a terrible dry season, so we don't have rain, but the grass is actually still quite green compared to some other places that I've been to in the country. But we've actually already planted a good section of the farm. Let me go and show you guys. So guys, this area is quite big. It's less than 50 acres, but it's probably more than 30 acres. You guys can see it all around me. And all this has already been planted. We learned our mistakes and did our very best to correct them. Now, of course, we can't correct some of the mistakes. For example, I've already had some of you guys ask me, did you do soil testing before you planted, you know? Did you test the soil? Guys, no, we did not test the soil. And you know why? Because we had leftover seeds. Since before we had planned to plant 200 acres and we probably didn't even do 100 acres, we had lots of seeds that were left, and if we keep them for really long, they're going to get messed. It's difficult to get a really, really good storage place, so we have insects attacking them and everything. We just have to plant the maize, but we had to make better decisions on how and where to plant the maize. So how did we try to solve the problems? Number one, change the management. You guys commented in my previous video about our 200-acre failure that, hey, that's what happens with millennials. When they fail, they put all the blame on someone else. Well, I wasn't really supervising the garden work because I paid too much attention to the animals. We have to get someone else to do the garden work and the planting, things to do with crops. But honestly, the person who was supervising before, he probably wasn't the best person for that job. He had to be, you know, reshuffled and moved to another place. And then we got in a new person who is way better at doing this stuff. So getting in someone else to manage certainly helped because it ensured that everything is planned on time, everything is run perfectly. Number two, start the preparation on time. Yeah. So last time the biggest problem is that the rains came when we were not ready. They came when we were not ready. So we were starting to plow. We were plowing in a section of the farm which was really, really dampy and wet when it rains. And so the tractors would not move. We were not able to use the planters because at that time we had decided to use the planter. The planter couldn't move because of the soggy water. So it was just difficult. It really, really slowed us down. So this time we decided to start preparing quite early. And yeah, we did prepare early. You guys can see all this land has actually been planted. Quickly planted because we did the preparations early. We got the tractor driver to come and start preparing this place. He would work in the night, day and night. He was just one guy who worked on this whole area, day and night. And once we got the place done early, now we had the time to actually plant before the rains come. Number 3, get better workers. Now this is actually quite ambiguous because we didn't get any different kinds of workers. The number of workers that we used before to plant was actually more. This time we had less workers, but because they were better controlled, we had a better person controlling them. That meant that they could do their work better. So they were able to move around without malingering, without running away. They probably respect their new supervisor better. They give them more respect, so they are able to listen to what their new supervisor says, probably because the supervisor is more informed. Because the other thing I know with employees and workers is that if you appear to not know what you're doing, they also don't give a damn. So this guy really looks like he knows what he's doing, and yeah, the people did follow him, and that meant that work was certainly way more efficient. Everything just ran better, everything just ran smoother. Number 4, we learned to tone down our ambitions and plant the easier section of the farm first. So what happened before is that the last time we tried to plant the lower section of the farm, the one that gets really soggy when it rains, that's what we decided to plant first. And we left this upper section, which is quite empty. But you guys can see that this section has lots and lots of trees, you see. I remember I posted a video when we were planning on building a hatchery, and I was telling you guys I was going to clear trees, and all you guys complained that you shouldn't clear the trees. So this is farmland, but we've decided to keep all the trees scattered in here. I think I'm proud of myself. Of course, that came with limitations in that we couldn't use particular machinery because the trees are scattered, so the tractors can't move very easily. We had to use manual labor. Guys, we used manual labor. Can you imagine using people to just plant over 30 acres? A hand garden hoe, like hoe, H-O-E, to plant all this. Someone digs, they put the fertilizer, cover the soil. That's what happened for this whole area. And it's being done by probably around 20 people. Way less than what we did before, because before I think we had like 30-40 people trying to plant that land and they barely did anything. So we decided to clear the easier section of the farm first, which is this upper place. It's more likely to give us results because in case of any rain, no water is going to log here. Of course, it wasn't like very, very nice because it had lots of logs, lots of it really wasn't prepared at all. And even right now, as you can see, it's probably not in perfect state, but it's because it hadn't been grown for a really, really long time. Actually, over the past few months, almost every time I would walk in here, I would encounter a snake. Very many big snakes. Over there at the very end, you guys might not see, but that's where our teak tree forest is, and that's where we are keeping the beehives. So I had to move through this section a number of times because at this other extreme end, it's where we have, the poultry section, where most of the people stay. So this other side is the outcast. So I had to pass through here quite a number of times, and it was really messy. So there was a lot of work that went into doing it. But the advantage and the priority is that we did it early. And because we did it early, we managed to prepare it, at least good enough for us to do the planting. And now the weather is changing a bit. Guys, we are in this section of the country where rain is just something you need to beg for. We've gone months without rain at all. Months. So we are praying that the rain comes, really, really praying that the rain comes now. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. The good thing is that the soil wasn't soft at all. So that means the seeds are actually not germinating. You already have seeds in the ground, so they're not germinating. But if they were to germinate right now, and in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, we don't have any rain, we are all messed. All these seeds will be messed and they'll be lost. And guys, I think that's why I'm not as passionate about growing crops as I am about keeping animals, because it has so many other factors that you can't control, especially the seasons and the rain. Guys, we've done everything that we can, and the time we decide to do everything as well as we can, the rain decides not to come. That's not something that you can control. With animals, you have way more that you can control, and you're not worried, for example, about the weather. You can control almost everything, you know, apart from the market. The market is quite hard to control, but if you're sharp enough, you can again control the market. But you can control everything, the diseases, the quality of feeds, almost everything is your responsibility, you know, with the animals. Unlike plants, because unless you're doing like greenhouse farming, where everything is controlled and the environment is controlled, you know, they are growing inside some artificial environment, well, you could be in trouble. Like, it looks like we might be in trouble this time. Otherwise, the main reason we are growing this is we want to offcut the costs of buying maize. Guys, maize is currently very expensive. It's quite expensive, and no, we just can't keep up like this. We won't make any money if we are still buying maize. So if we can plant as much as possible, since we are learning, maybe 50 acres this season, then maybe 100 next season, 200 the other season, and then we shall be able to plant a lot of maize. Then it will be a really good thing. At some point I was giving up, guys. At some point I was giving up on actually ever planting maize. I thought we would probably just need to buy, but let's wait and see. Otherwise, thanks guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell, that way you never miss out on an upload. Lots of love. Bye bye.